it's Caroline here, welcome to my channel, and today I am working with the March Best of Both Worlds kit again, and I'm looking forward to trialling out the sketch challenge that Shamel set, and that was working with the sketch from the recent edition of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. So I have actually had a look online, and because I don't get that magazine, there is an online version of the magazine that you can look at and you can see the sketches. And what's great with the online version is it actually recommends, it gives you the original sketch, and then it does give you I think possibly 5 or 6 different versions of that sketch. So it gives you tips on, if you don't want to try this, why don't you try this version of the sketch or that version. I was toying with the idea of trying a really different version of it, but I thought about it, and I really want to trial the original version, which is a kind of triangle design made up of strips of paper. And following along with Shamel, I am going to use the 6x6 pads for my paper strips, because the kit doesn't have a lot of 12x12 paper, so I don't really want to cut them into strips. So I have actually spent some time already, and I've gone through those 6x6 pads, and I'm going with a pink and yellow colour scheme, with potentially a hint of green, I think. So I've cut some strips. These are 1 inch wide, and they're 6 inches because they're from a 6x6 pad, so they won't actually make a full I won't be able to do a full strip at a time, but that's going to be okay. That's okay. And what I have done already is I've got a piece of scrap paper that I've got the right angle cut out onto, and I will be sticking my scraps onto this first, so that I get them all lined up nicely. And then once I've got that done, I will stick this down onto this dotted piece of paper, and this is a doodlebug piece of paper from those background packs that I bought in January. So I've got 2 photos to scrapbook. They are both printed at 3x4 size. On the sketch, the original sketch, there is a 3x4 photo and a smaller photo, but I just thought it was easier for me just to print them, my 2 at this one size, so that's why I'm going to go with that. And my plan is I was going to not ink the edges, but because I've been inking the edges a lot, I didn't feel quite comfortable not. So I'm going to use antique linen distress ink, which is really, really pale, so you probably won't even pick up on camera, but it will be there to just soften the edges a tiny touch on some of these papers. I'm also planning on doing some stitching, so taking this over to my sewing machine at some point, but I will talk through that when I get to that point. So I've already got these strips cut, as I said. Some of these you'll see I may well use both sides, not sure yet. I'm going to get the edges all inked up though, and then put things on fast forward and voiceover and talk you through my process. Okay, so my edges are all inked, and at this point I am just laying down the papers. So I have those bright yellow, the strip that I'm just sticking down now. I've got quite a few of those pieces, and I also have that ombre pink up to yellow that I'm putting down now. I have quite a few of those pieces as well, but the other ones, because I'm using up some scraps, I've only got 2 or 3 of the 1 inch strips of all of those others. So I want to make sure that I really spread my colours around and the patterns around, so that the same pattern isn't on the top row more than once at first, and it doesn't sit next to, so for example the ombre pink to yellow, I don't want that one to sit against the ombre pink to yellow on the opposite diagonal. I wanted them to be nicely spaced out so that the colours are spread evenly across the page, and ideally I would like each pattern to be repeated at least 3 times so that you get that really kind of cohesive feel. But at the moment I'm just popping everything down, just sticking them down in this way. It gave it a bit of a shuffle off camera so that I had everything laid out, just so that it feels nice and balanced. You'll notice there's just the one of each pattern on that top row and the same on the bottom row. but that I haven't got things right to the edge of this template yet. So that's where I will be going in with some of these offcuts and some of those extra pieces to complete the whole row, so that everything's filled in. Now I've got a choice at this point where I could have created each row with the same strip of paper, so that yellow, I could have followed that on with another piece of the same paper. I didn't do that for two reasons. One, because I didn't have enough of some of the patterns, but mainly because I wanted more variety. I'm going for a kind of quilted look with this one, and I'll particularly get that effect when I take this over to my sewing machine in a bit. But because of that, I was really happy for where the ends of the strips are, for it to be really noticeable, and the best way to do that was actually to just do it with a different strip of paper, so that I'm almost making a feature of each of the seams rather than trying to piece them together and thinking, so by making each row two different pieces of paper, two different patterns, in effect it helped to have that quilted look and to just make a feature of the seams. Before I take this over to my sewing machine, I'm making sure that every little piece of that white background is filled in with one of these strips of paper, so that you get that really tight look. There's no bits peeping through, and there are a couple of lines where there is a little bit of the white, but once I've got my stitching over the top of the seam, you don't see that. And I'm really happy already with how this looks. Spoiler alert, I think the end result of this layout is one of my favourite layouts of the year, I'd say, if not the favourite layout that I've made this year. I absolutely love it, and I wasn't expecting to, but I really, really do. And that's really good after my last one when I wasn't sure about it at all. So I've come back in with a high with this kit, which is absolutely brilliant. It's a little bit difficult to see on camera, but there is that stitching. So I've stitched every seam, but I haven't actually stitched the edge. I was toying with the idea of stitching the edge down onto that background paper, but I decided not to. Here I've just brought my iPad over so you can see the original sketch. Don't know why I've never thought to do this before with one of Chanel's sketches, but I think I will do in the future. So orientating these photos, because in the one I'm looking off to the side, I had intended to put that so that I was kind of looking at the title, but it didn't quite work with the sketch and with how I wanted my layout to turn out. So I've just switched the photos around so that the one where I'm looking to the side, I'm actually just looking at myself, which is absolutely fine. Decided not to mat these photos. I did print them with a tiny white border, and because there's so much pattern in that quilted background, and this is actually on that dotted cardstock rather than, sorry, pattern paper. It's polka dotted pattern paper rather than cardstock, so there's quite a lot in the background. So I think the photos are fine exactly as they are with that nice white border. It helps them to pop off the patterns, and yeah, it's just looking really good and really happy with how it's working. My next area to work on is my journaling. So now that I've got that background all built up, I want to make sure I have saved a space for my journaling. I haven't got loads and loads to say, but I'm going to just add 2 journaling blocks on top of each other so that I've got somewhere to write. And then after that, I will work on my title area. So I'm going to put my title just under the photos and slightly to the left. So using stickers from the Pink Fresh sticker sheets as my journal spots, and I'm putting them exactly where they are on the sketch because it worked well. If I had more to write, I think that I would have actually moved my journaling to the right of the photos and written directly onto the background, because although it's polka dot, it's a very pale kind of lemony yellow on top of white, so it would have been really legible on top of that. But because I haven't got loads to say, I thought these 2 stickers would be absolutely fine. I'm really aware again that these stickers are exceptionally sticky, so until I have decided exactly where I want them to go, I'm trying to be really light with how I tack them down so that I can move them if I want to. But then, as you've just seen, I've squished them down because I've decided that's it, they're definitely going to go there. So just once I've done that, I'm just finishing up these photos, which again were just lightly tacked. Once I've decided and committed to where they're going to go, I just add that extra bit of embellishment. sorry, adhesive, not embellishment. These are the embellishments. So on the sketch there are some florals which I know are there to just hold space for any embellishments that you would like to put on, but because I am telling the story about one of my favourite pink jumpers and my background is quite feminine and it's very tactile with all of the lovely stitching on it and it's got that kind of quilted effect, I wanted to really go with that soft feel. And also I was really conscious that in my kit I've got just a few floral stickers, but mainly again boxy stickers, which is where I had that problem last time. So this is that Cocoa Vanilla Storyteller collection. I'm pulling in the same florals that I pulled in before. I had a lovely comment where somebody had kind of agreed with me and said the florals worked really well with my kit, and they do. So I've decided that that's it. I'm just going to use this collection as well as my kit, particularly the die cuts, because you had so many die cuts in the die cut pack for this collection. So I'm pulling out, as you'll see, all of the pink and yellow ones. I'm not going to use them all, but I will use most of the florals. I'm also bringing in that lovely yellow camera because I really like that, and I will be bringing in the pink book with the florals kind of bursting out of it, for no other reason than I really like that icon. I really like it. The colour goes really well. It fits perfectly below the photo. On the original sketch there's only actually the edge of some embellishment there, but I decided to start my embellishment with that piece, and all I'm doing here is just basically layering them up. So spreading them out, I wanted to kind of pull them from on top of the quilting onto that polka dot just for a more organic feel, and bring it in some butterflies and some hearts and a couple of the little leaves that come with the die cuts just for that extra pop of green. And it's just a very soft and light form of embellishment, but lots of it, and I really love it. I think it goes really well with the papers from Pink Fresh and this doodlebug background. There is a slight difference in tone between the yellow in the Cocoa Vanilla. It's a slightly more mustard in the Cocoa Vanilla Storyteller collection, but I think it works. I really do. I think it works really nicely, particularly because I've got quite a few of those yellow florals that I'm able to dot around. And yeah, I really like the way that it all fits together. Finishing things up by popping up a few of these die cuts on pop dots just for some added dimension. I've added my journaling onto those journal spots up at the top, a couple of, I think 3 of the wooden buttons in a visual triangle, and then some of the puffy heart stickers in the pink, white and the yellow as well from the Cocoa Vanilla collection. And this layout is complete. I'm so happy with it and I really love it, and I really enjoyed the creative process of this one. It was lots of fun to make. So I hope you have liked this video. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. If you don't already, please subscribe. Bye!